Happy Valentine's, everybody. What better way to spend a day of love than with Scott Pilgrim? Just your average Canadian boy so in love, he fights his new girlfriend's evil exes. Totally normal stuff. I'm Chad.
And I'm Matt.
You've tuned into episode 42 of We Used to Talk About This at Work. All right, Matt, we are back for another week. It's Valentine's. I am feeling loving, and I decided to share the love of this podcast with the good people of TikTok. I feel like we need to expand our audience somewhat, and why not with the youth, right? So after this, we'll do a couple of dances. And the music will actually be like the audio from some podcasts, and we'll generate some buzz over there, you know?
Exactly. We need some dances, some recipes. We're just going to do everything what TikTok loves. We're just going to put on one little episode to cover all the bases.
There you go. One size fits all.
Also add a dog in there. People love dog stuff.
And babies. I have a baby.
And I can find a dog.
There you go. All right. So this week, we have two guests, and like I alluded to last week, we're getting back to our roots. We got people that we actually used to work with. You know, we're living up to the namesake of this podcast, and hopefully they've got some TikTok experience that they can, give us some tips about. But this week we would like to introduce Kimaiya and Sativa. How are you ladies doing this week?
Good.
All right.
All right, so that really wasn't confusing enough, but who's who?
You want to go first?
My name is Sativa.
And who are you, Sativa?
Who am I? Oh golly, that is such a loaded question, Chad. Who is anybody? Yeah,
that's fair. Let's get real existential this week.
We could. I mean, it's Valentine's. What better time to contemplate who you are, right?
Right.
Valentine's.
You are a strand of weed.
I'm actually an entire, I think it's a species of plants. Like there's some pretty boring ones in there too, like cabbage and tomatoes and yeah, this whole thing though. It's like a science word. It's a good name. Anyway, Sativa. I used to work at the place that shall not be named with Chad and Matt, possibly Kimaiya. I don't know. There's some confusion on that one. But we used to work there, and Chad was my trainer. Matt was, you had to sit next to the boss. I remember that. And I used to walk by your desk a lot, but that's about all I remember. I have a very bad memory. It's not personal. We went over that earlier. But yeah, so and Chad somehow got me to come on this. I don't know how that happened.
We'll see how this shakes out. I might have to just delete your
You can edit all of it. That's okay.
There'll be long gaps in the episode, but
It'd be great for TikTok. They would love that. Just gaps and just your weird dance.
Yes.
No audio, just dancing.
Kimaiya, who are you?
I mean, an old co-worker of Chad and Matt and Sativa, which I was there for a while. I just didn't work in the same department.
Gotcha.
So we wouldn't have crossed paths. But that's all. I don't know who I guess. I don't know.
That's fair. We all have our experiences at that place we all used to work at. And I understand what you mean when you say that's all you got.
Yeah, I worked with Kimaiya in 2 different departments at that place. And on the second place, as she sat right on the side of me.
We were corner neighbors.
Yes.
But not on the street.
Yes.
I've been wondering this since I asked you to be on the podcast, but did I train you?
No.
Were you on the other group? Were you upstairs?
I was a group that had a cycle of people up there.
Okay, so you were upstairs. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. Honestly, it's real fuzzy. Some people I distinctly remember But then like other people, I'm like, I'm cool with them, but I can't remember if I'm cool with them just because I'm cool with them or because I trained them.
It's because you knew everybody.
Yeah, that's the fucking
Yeah,
problem, right?
you knew everybody in that building. I don't know how you did that, but you're
Yeah,
very socially aggressive, Chad.
I've never
Socially
heard that.
aggressive.
I've never heard that about myself. Thank you.
I don't think you're that socially aggressive because unless someone says something to you to catch your attention, you're gonna keep walking.
That's fair.
I'm gonna start using that in my everyday life. I'm like, you socially aggressive.
I've
Shit like
never
that.
heard that before, but I like it so much. Like, yes, I'm here for
I mean,
it.
I'm on a podcast. I don't know how you did that. That's just social aggression. You're sneaky about it though.
I am.
Persuasive.
Like, look at all the people you know.
That's fair. That's fair. I am not as persuasive as I like because it is literally twisting arms getting a lot of people to come on. Some people like Kimaiya, good sport. She was like, hell yeah, I'll come on, haven't talked to you guys in forever. Other people like yourself, Sativa.
I am not a good sport. No.
You are not a, good
team
sport
player.
No.
Mm-mm.
But pushing forward, Kimaiya, what's been going on with you, lady? What do you want to talk about?
I mean, I don't know. I just got married not that long ago.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we're gonna see how that goes. It's permanent, so I hope he's okay. Yeah, we're about to buy a house and then create some offspring, I suppose.
You suppose.
Mm-hmm. I think I don't know how he wants kids, but I think the concern is what if they turn out like me or him?
I mean, there's a high probability that your children will be you, but smaller. That's kind of how that works.
I can't discipline the me out of kids. That made me a hypocrite.
You gotta just you do the best that you can, right?
I would have to walk off because I can't take me seriously.
Nah, that's definitely gonna happen. It's as much as my son does stuff, and it's like I just see that's just little me in there to where it's like I be want to discipline, but it's like in my mind, I'm like, this is exactly some shit I'll do. I'll start laughing, but you know, I gotta be daddy. So I'll be like, nah, you shouldn't have done that. But then later on, I tell the wife, oh, this boy a fool. And I start laughing at her.
That's fun. Yeah. I mean, not exactly what you're saying, but like today, my daughter, she dropped something and like she bent down to get it and she hit her head on the table, like not hard, like lightly tapped it. She didn't cry. And I was laughing so hard. And she looked at me like with the saddest eyes. I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. So I get it.
You disrespected her whole life.
I am. But so pre-show you were telling me that you're doing something called swing trading.
Yeah. So if you know what day trading is, it's really rapid and you have to like watch the market during certain hours of the day. And if you have a full-time job, it's impossible to do. So, but if you like to do trades and whatnot, you can do swing trading, which is basically just you buy a call or a put, which a call is if you think their stock is going to go up, or a put if you think it's going to go down. And then you can come back the next day or later on that day and you can see if it went up or down, and that's how you make your money. You sell it back. So that's all it is. It's trading, but it doesn't have to have your undivided attention.
Okay, what platform are you doing that on?
I use right now I use Robinhood because I'm learning how to use another platform.
Gotcha.
So, but I don't know what it is offhand because it's just bookmarked in my browser on one of these browsers. I got a lot of things on my desktop.
That's fair. All right. Well, good luck with that. Don't lose all your money, but good luck with that.
Thank you.
And also, you apparently are very crafty.
Yeah. So I do a lot of crafting. I mostly I was looking for something. I mostly specialize in like rhinestoning tumblers, but I also know how to make other tumblers. I'm not going to send y'all some rhinestones and glitter. Y'all not going. But We're gonna see about getting y'all some custom tumblers just for your podcast, so you don't have to struggle with your straw anymore.
Well, they don't know about that, but thanks for putting me out there like that. Pre-show, I had a bit of a straw malfunction with my cup, but rocking it. I had to switch out, but we got to get some merch soon from Kimaiya, so appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll talk offline so I can get some more details and I can customize y'all.
Okay. All right, and also you're cooking. What's happening there? You're a regular. What's that lady with the big head? Rachel Way.
Oh, why she gotta have a big head?
She don't have a big head.
Oh, I don't know.
You said that lady. In my mind, I was thinking Susie Homemaker, but I was like, that's not a real person.
But she makes good like mac and cheese, so
exactly.
It balances out.
Now, I'm not saying you have a big head, Kimaiya. I'm just saying that you are her doing the damn thing.
Oh, I mean, I had one. I grew into it. So we're good. But yeah, so I am now responsible for holiday staples, and I don't appreciate that. But yeah, little razzle dazzle. I love food. The one thing I'm gonna do is eat. So me and my husband like to adventure in the kitchen a lot with learning different recipes and so on and so forth. And one thing that we used to bond over is like wine. So we'll make a lot of meals and do wine pairings. He doesn't drink, so he just pairs them for me because he used to drink wine.
That's pretty cool. You're telling me you cooked something for the first time?
Yeah, I made some stuffed shells, and I made stuffed salmon the other night.
Anything that makes that unique? Like, did you add your own little touch to it?
I probably did. I don't follow recipes. I don't follow recipes. You listen to your ancestors. They tell you what to do. You just need to know what goes in it.
I totally agree with that. When I get a recipe, the recipe is more like a
guide,
a general idea of what this should go. The rest is up for me to interpret this, because I always base recipes as they didn't do enough for this recipe. So it's up to me to figure out what really needs to go into this meal.
Fair enough. Sativa.
Yes.
What's been going on with you lately?
Oh, same old stuff. I stay at home, watch a lot of movies. That's pretty much my life.
You watch anything good lately?
What did we watch? Well, we have a friend who comes over every so often. He said, I want to get into horror movies. I said, oh, kid, we got you. So he comes over every so often. The last night we watched, I think it was a Japanese film. It had subtitles. It was called Pulse. Very creepy.
Is that
very creepy film.
Is that older? That sounds familiar.
Yeah. I'd never seen it before. I think it came out like it wasn't early 2000s. Maybe like 2010-ish. Like it was older. That was really good. Very kind of a psychological, like there's not a lot of jump scares or monsters or boogeymen. It's just creepy. And then we watched Sinister, which
2001 Pulse came out.
2001. Okay. Yeah, that's the one we watched. Had subtitles. It's very good. And then we watched Sinister, which is, I think, only a few years old, has Ethan Hawke in it.
Yeah, that's a classic, right? A modern classic.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting to see the difference between like an Asian horror film and then like a very American horror film. You got the jump scares and the noises, and they're kind of cheap. Yeah, it was good though. We watched those, and we're gonna. I don't know what we're gonna watch next, but we watch a lot. Oh goodness, we watch a lot of horror. But recently, I watched Last Night in Soho with my husband, which is done by Edgar Wright, who did the Scott Pilgrim movie we'll be discussing today. And I really enjoyed that movie. And one thing I love about Edgar Wright, not that I know much about film, but he's really good at mixing styles.
Yes.
And putting music in those as well. Like if you saw Baby Driver, he really just kind of makes a giant music video with a movie, tells a story. He did really well at integrating the 60s music into this film. And my one complaint is I watched the trailer after I watched the movie. I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer first, because a lot of the things you uncover in the film are very subtle. And if you watch the trailer, you already know what's coming.
Well, yes and no, but like I saw the trailer first and then I saw the movie, and like I didn't even think about the stuff in the trailer, because like you don't really realize what's relevant without the context of the movie.
Well, I know, like in the very opening scene, you meet the main girl. I think her name's Ellie. I'm really really bad with names, but you meet her, and for like the first like 5 minutes of the movie, you don't know what time period you're in because he did such a good job.
Yes, I agree.
I remember actually saying that out loud to my husband. I'm like, what year is this in? And then it switches to a scene on a train, and you're like, oh, okay.
Well,
like,
not even just
how
that.
is that?
Not even just that. Like she pulled out her cell phone because, like, I thought it was like set in the 90s or the 80s,
Right.
and then I was like, oh, okay.
Like it's not. But that movie, I know they call it a horror film, which I can understand because it's got those elements to it.
It's a thriller.
It's a thriller. If I had to compare it to a horror film, it'd probably be something like Psycho, where it's kind of a thriller and there's not a lot of monsters or scary bits, but you can tell, and I love this about him, you can tell that Edgar Wright is like a movie fanboy. Like he loves movies himself, because if you watch this movie, the first thing I thought of was like Italian horror. Like he's definitely in love with Dario Argento. If you like look at the lighting in this film and the way they use knives, like I thought of Deep Red, which you probably haven't seen.
I haven't. You over here with these deep cuts?
Oh,
if you pardon my pun.
Deep Red or the original Suspiria, not that one that came out a couple of years ago. It was not very good. I wouldn't recommend that.
It had Dakota Johnson.
It did, but it was just boring, and it kind of lacked. It was artistic, but it just kind of lacked anything that you really cared about. It just wasn't interesting. But Last Night in Soho was interesting. You really care about all the characters. We see Matt Smith. Yes. He was fantastic. Oh my gosh. Like he was perfect for that role.
Do you know how long it's been since we've had a Whovian on this show that I can actually talk Doctor Who?
Oh, I love it. But I mean, he had the physical look. Like he looks like he could be from the 60s.
Yeah.
But he can also do that really quick turn where suddenly he's kind of terrifying.
Yes.
And he was so good in it. And you kind of saw that in Doctor Who a little bit. Like he's got that dark side. But I loved it. I thought his character was fantastic.
I love the camera work in the movie. Like that scene when they're in the club dancing and like I
was going to mention that scene. Yes. If you only watch one part of that movie, watch the ballroom scene. It is, oh my gosh, it's like a phenomenal scene. Someone should get an award for that.
Exactly. And it's like, you know that it was all done in camera, and just like the choreography that they had to do on and off the camera to make sure that lined up.
About it after the fact. It's actually all done in one shot.
Exactly. Like, so like how much practice you have to do to like literally move around the camera and like the blocking, like,
and how the actors are having to like jump in and out of the same scene without being seen.
Yes.
Yeah, that scene, I lost my train of thought when I started talking about the movie, but that is what I wanted to bring up, is like, if you don't even watch the movie, go watch that scene. Like it's so beautifully done. And it sets the tone for the whole movie, but then you realize that the tone it's setting is completely false.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Like there's so much of the movie that is like the entire movie's a misdirect, but
because you're seeing it through the eyes of Ellie, who's just this naive, sweet country girl who, I don't know, she doesn't know what life is yet, and she has these big dreams and these idealist versions of like the 60s, and she thinks it's going to be wonderful, and then it's like, no, it's not.
No, that shit was not what's up at all.
It was a good movie. I would recommend that to someone who likes thrillers. If like you don't like horror movies, don't let that turn you off, because it's more in the vein of like Psycho or something.
It's not really a horror movie.
It's not really a horror movie. They're calling it that. It's got a little bit of supernatural aspects to it, but it's not like a possession movie or
I mean, just to kind of touch on what we're going to talk about tonight, like a lot of Edgar Wright's movies are not really marketed right. Just put a toe in Scott Pilgrim for a second. Like the Scott Pilgrim was a bomb in the box office.
Yes.
And part of the reason is that it wasn't marketed properly. Like it's kind of a hard movie to describe to someone. So, like, how do you sell that to a general audience?
And I think it also, specifically Scott Pilgrim, came out at the wrong time. I think it was up against, like, The Expendables or something. Yeah. Like, that's where everyone was going to go and see that weekend. They weren't going to go see that weird video game movie.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
But we'll get into that a little bit more later. Matt, what have you been up to this week, sir?
I'm alive.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to talk about how I don't get the opportunity to recast this podcast.
Exactly. The what is it? Was that saying? The story of my demise has been greatly exaggerated, or whatever that thing was.
Look at you, man, all literary and shit. Your topics this week gonna be how you was reading books.
Well, no. I mean, yes, I was reading books, but not on this podcast. I gotta keep letting these listeners think I'm ignorant.
I got you. But we on TikTok now, so we got a broader audience. We got to penetrate book talk.
Hey, I can recommend some books. 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
I don't know. That was the first book that came to mind, was 48 Laws of Power. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But
I'm with you. I'll write it down. I'll add it to my Goodreads.
Right. So yeah, so I was dying last week, and I was like, yeah, this is it. Let me go get tested for this COVID. And 100% I got COVID. And then they tested me, and it's like, nah, you good. And I was like, wait, what? They was like, nah, you don't got COVID. I was like, so I'm just regular sick? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, okay, that's it. I was like, I went home. So you had COVID? It's like, no, I'm just regular sick. Kind of wish I had COVID a little bit.
Right. I'm be honest. When you text me and you was like, I don't have COVID, I was kind of disappointed.
Me too. I was like, so this is just regular? I'm basic. I got basic sickness.
All right. You was like sick and shit. Like the viewers didn't really see it, but like on the camera, you just looked like you literally were ready to die.
Yes, and I'm like, I accepted it. I've came to terms with it a long time ago. I'm like, this is it. But I think that's just with now, with this day and age of COVID, it's like, if you get sick, all right, you expect to have COVID because that's what everybody says it is. And now it's like when they tell me I'm just regular sick, and it's got me thinking, so before, if you was just regular sick, you stayed home or you just came to work and just hoped whatever you had didn't go to somebody else.
I mean, but that's also the American mentality on it. Like, right. You're not really supposed to, you're actually supposed to use your sick days when you're sick.
Right. Well, yeah. And not for when. Never mind.
Yeah.
Right. Don't exist anymore.
Huh?
What?
Sick days don't exist anymore in the world of telework.
I mean, but it's also easier to get that approved now, right? Like you call your boss and you're like, hey, I'm not feeling well. I've had a persistent cough for the last 2 days. You stay at home. You stay at home.
Right. Yeah. Now
log on. They're like, all right, just go log on instead.
That's true. I forgot about work from home.
But normal. So then when I went back to work, I was telling my coworker, I was like, yeah, I know COVID, I'm just regular sick. And they were like, you sure you can't stay home? I was like, no, we a family. Don't they tell us that we a family? All right.
You've been working so hard at these extra hours. Here's a pizza party. No extra pay. You don't need that, but here's some free pizza.
But the wife ended up getting sick. And then my son got sick. And then, but once I got sick and the wife got sick, I knew the son was going to get there too. So it was coming down the line, but he's doing a lot better now.
That's good.
But with me being at home, the Winter Olympics started. Are you guys a fan of the Winter Olympics?
I do not watch nope, not at all.
I'm cool.
What'd you say, Kimaiya?
I'm cool.
Yeah, I kind of don't care. Now, I'm not saying winter. I'm just saying Olympics in general.
Okay, so Winter Olympics. Why don't you guys care about the Winter Olympics? Or I guess for you, Chad, why don't we care about no Olympics?
Part of my issue is that, just speaking for how we get it in this country, they're treating it like it's the 1990s, where they're like, okay, so this shit happened yesterday, like at 1 a.m., but we're going to air it at 7 p.m. and pretend like you don't have the internet where you found out the results already. So it's like, what is the point of that? Like, I understand, like, it's kind of like there are ways to see it live, but like, I'm not getting up at like 2 a.m. to watch curling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my thing. Just like the time delay is bullshit. I think it's the next one in LA. Like, whenever we have the American one and the times are like better, maybe I'll care a little bit more. Like, I'm not saying it has to be in America, but like just somewhere to where the time difference isn't so egregious that, you know, we can actually see these live in prime time. I would probably care more.
I feel like the Winter Olympics is like the same activity, just with one extra item or one less item, but they all just playing in the snow. they're not, I don't know, like that doesn't say I can do that in my front yard.
I mean, you could fucking run track outside like during the summer. So like, what do you mean? Why?
There is not an athlete inside my body screaming to get out. Those days are gone. I will watch someone else do the task for me.
I don't really follow sports in general, like at all. Never have in my life, but I don't really find them interesting. And I know it's supposed to be this brotherly love world thing, but let's be real. It's going to be like the US, Russia, and some amalgam of Europe at the top of the standings. Like, that's it. Like, you're watching the America games. And
I mean, you know, China comes hard.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. I forgot about China. How could I do that? But it's just going to be the same, like 3 or 4 world superpowers just running around or skating around or
curling around.
Curling around with their brooms. And the Canadians might get that one, though. They know about ice. So.
They better get that one, but, you know.
I don't know. I just never really found it interesting. And maybe it's supposed to inspire like national pride or whatever. I mean, maybe that we're supposed to be like, yay, USA, get the medals. But who won the gold medal last time? Does anyone know? Like
probably America.
In the summer, like who won the gold medal for?
Was anybody even watching it? Who watched the Summer Olympics? Like, I remember we had like
beds. I remember that. That was a thing, right?
Because they didn't want them having sex. Like, I remember we had a really long discussion about the Summer Olympics, but like, I don't even remember watching any of it.
Wasn't there a lot of shenanigans that took place?
Well, people were protesting because like, why are you having this event with all these people from other countries and we're in a global pandemic?
Yeah. I can't say that I really looked at the Olympics this year. It was a whole lot, I guess. I don't know. I just wasn't in the actually, you know, since the pandemic started, I haven't been paying attention to sports. They're not entertaining right now because there's nobody there. So like the crowd was my hype man.
Super Bowl about to be packed next week. What you talking about?
No, it's not. The cheapest seat is $6,400.
People paying.
For what? It's the Rams in Cincinnati. It's the redheaded stepchild of the NFL. No one wants the Rams.
I mean,
and Cincinnati ain't been there in 40 years. Don't nobody care about them being there but Cincinnati.
You're not paying to see the two teams. You're paying to say you went to the Super Bowl.
I will pay for someone that's worth watching. This is going to be a high school football game.
The whole point is to say I went to the Super Bowl. That's the whole point.
But they stupid. You know what you can do with $6,400? Not go to that game.
I mean, you could do a lot with $6,400, but you know. But the Olympics, Matt?
Oh, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, because the Winter Olympics is trash. I've been watching. The whole point is I've been watching this, and I'm like, this is not entertaining at all to me. And I was trying to think of why, like, the Summer Olympics is better. And I guess it's because with the Summer Olympics, it's more all those sports or something that people can wrap their head around and they can understand, where majority of that stuff is a win or lose type of thing, to where like a lot of this stuff right here, besides the only thing I can think of is gymnastics, to where you have somebody doing a score. But even people like gymnastics, but I was just watching them do this little bumpity hill thing or something on skis, and they were giving out times, and I was like, and it was like difficulties, and I was like, what was the difficulties? They're just going down the hill. So I really like when, I don't know. I was trying to figure out in my head, why isn't this more the Winter Olympics more? And I guess because I don't know. Nothing about, like, I watched curling. That shit seems stupid. Figure skating, it's cool to watch, but you know, when you're watching something, you'd be like, that was good. Or you don't have a sense of difficulty where, like, the stuff they're doing, can everybody do this? But for some reason, when I watch gymnastics, I can feel when somebody does something crazy. All right, that shit was crazy. But where watching the figure skate, I'm like, it seems like everybody in this sport can do that.
And I mean, the figure skating is like the main sport of the Winter Olympics. Like that's what people are coming for, right? Even back in the 90s when you had Tanya Hardin and Nancy Kerrigan, right? And to some extent, Christy Yamaguchi. That's what people are coming to see. Like, you'll have some fucking millennials that are trying to see bobsled and Kasaku running, but like, and like, I guess some much younger millennials watching the snowboarding. You know, who's the little redhead carrot top looking motherfucker?
His
name is Shaun White.
Yeah, him. But like beyond that, like,
but speaking of that though, the same kids you're talking about, do they care that he's performing in Olympics, or wouldn't they care more when he performs in the X Games?
That's a good question.
Do people watch the X Games in the winter?
Well, they have different ones, but yeah, like the millennials, that's their Olympics, because you have all the different X Games stuff for winter stuff, snowboarding. I mean, not snowboarding, snowmobile ones, and stuff like that. So I'm just, maybe it's just one of those things to where this is just part of the quote unquote Olympic tradition. Speaking of fucking tradition, I think about this. They added fucking curling to this. This is not something that's been there for years.
Yes, it has.
Curling has been here for years.
Curling's been an Olympic event. I'm looking it up right now, but curling's been an Olympic event, right?
How could, but I guess general public, we didn't know about that 10, 15 years ago, right? That's
right,
something
but
that was like,
I grew up watching curling.
But you gotta also remember about like the gatekeeping, right? Because like now there's so many different ways you can watch the Olympics. You can watch the Olympics on TV, what they curate for you. If you have like the extra cable channels, you can watch it there. You've got the Peacock, where you can watch it there. If you're savvy, you can do a VPN and watch it in other places. Or, you know, there's feeds where you can just exclusively watch curling. So it's like, growing up, I'm sure curling was a thing, but they were like, nobody cares about that in the US, so they just didn't air it. Okay, so they started, it was added in 1992. Wait. It was introduced to the Winter Olympics in 98. Sorry.
98. Okay, so maybe you're right, but I was like, I thought that was some new stuff, but like you said, I guess maybe they knew Americans weren't going to care. But hey, you need to show it to us, and then once I see it, I'll tell you I don't care. I mean, I still don't care, but at least you would have showed it to me back in the day. Now I look like a fool on this podcast because I thought it was recent. Chad got this shit out, so I look smart.
Don't worry, I'm gonna leave all that in. Don't worry.
Well, Matt, they added rock climbing racing.
Excuse me? In the Winter Olympics?
No, in the summer. Not really sure why that.
Wait. They got rock climbing racing? Like I would watch that shit.
Like they just look like little spider monkeys just running up the wall. I said, you know what?
I am kind of intrigued by that. I want to see what that looks like now.
That sounds dope.
I just told you what it looks
like. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, I would watch that.
Me too. Shit. If I would have known, I would have known.
Yeah, that was new. I think it was just I think my stepdad was watching it actually. And I just saw it on my peripheral. So yeah, that's in there. Mm-hmm.
See, so maybe that's what they need to start changing these sports up to something that's more it's quote unquote it's the global game. They can't just cater to us Americans. But like Sativa says, it's always winter is different from the Summer Olympics. Winter Olympics, you're gonna have your US, China, Russia, stuff like that. But then Summer Olympics, you're gonna have your
it's the same. It's the same countries. It's the same countries.
Well, yeah, but depending on the sport, like with track, you're gonna have more Jamaicas and stuff like that, Ghana's, the cross country stuff. Swimming, that's where you get US and Canada, some Russia. Yeah, it's like I don't know when the last time it's been about country pride where it's like, yeah, I want them to win.
The soccer.
We don't give a shit about that in America.
America's a really big soccer place.
Yeah,
they're making a big deal.
Care.
Yeah, I was like, they're making a big deal out of. They just signed to the National Women's Soccer League. They just signed the youngest athlete. She's 19. It's Dennis Rodman's daughter.
What?
Yeah, straight out of high school. She hasn't been to college. They drafted her, and I think they said she's the highest paid. And that right now they're having a really solid season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that the Olympics or just like the World Cup with Mia Hamm and like she took her shirt off and people had lost their fucking minds? Was that the Olympics?
That may have been the World Cup. I'm not for sure.
I'm thinking the World Cup.
Okay. But I just put a clip of that rock climbing racing in the chat, and that shit looks dope as fuck. Like, I don't know how we missed that, man. Like, that could have been the podcast right there.
I'm watching it now. Let's see.
How fast those motherfuckers going?
Yeah. Unreal.
This motherfucker, you right, looking like a little spider monkey climbing up that wall. He quick with it.
Yeah. Damn. Thanks for putting us on, Kimaiya.
Are you welcome?
What else you been up to, Matt?
Hold on. I gotta go back to the outline.
Gotta get my thoughts together.
Right. And then last night I watched the 355. Have you heard of this movie?
Yeah, it's what's that woman? Redhead, and Lupita Nyong'o. Fucking, I'm looking at this woman's face in my brain.
Jessica Chastain,
and some other women girl bossing.
Yeah, Penelope Cruz. Yeah. So it's funny, when I started watching it, I was like, hold up, are we gonna do this on the podcast? So I had to go back to the schedule. I'm like, nah, wait, it's not for the podcast. I can watch this now. Because I was about to watch next week's movie yesterday, but then I was like, oh wait, that's for the podcast. We'll save that. But so I watched it. The synopsis is basically when all the top spies of the world comes together, we can defeat anything.
Even sexism? Even sexism?
Even sexism. That introduced that. That's like the last 10 minutes of the scene. Is that part? Yeah. So, but quick synopsis is you have some equipment can destroy the world. So inadvertently, you have different spies from the US and England interact with each other. Blah, blah, blah happens. Next thing you know, you have multiple women from multiple organizations join together to defeat evil. There we go. I have to keep it broad just in case y'all want to watch it. But it was good, though. It was good. Gave me a sense of Ocean's 8.
Really? Oh, because of all women.
Because all the women, and plus, in that one, the black one, Rihanna, was like the tech person, and Lupita's the tech person in this one. So I was like, kind of gives me the same vibe.
Was the Asian one the funny, sassy one?
No. She was far from funny or sassy.
Okay.
This one. But she held her own. She did her part.
Okay.
She had a lisp. I don't know if she has a lisp in real life or that was just for the show, but she has a lisp.
That's interesting.
But yeah, so if you ever, nothing crazy, but it wasn't trash. If you look for a good basic action movie with female lead, check out the 355.
All right. So yeah, my week started really early. Got up at 4 a.m. Had to wake my daughter up, who's gonna be 2 in June, because she had a procedure where they put tubes in her ears. She's been getting ear infections a lot. So waking her up went as well as you can imagine. And the time at the hospital overall was fine. Like, she liked running around in the hallway. But when it was time to get serious and we had to hand her off to the strange nurse, whoo, buddy, she was like, fuck both of you. I hate you both. I have no parents. I am an orphan. Yeah. And then I always thought that it was bad, like giving my daughter like the nasal spray stuff because she doesn't know how to blow her nose. So we, put the fluid in her nose to kind of rinse it out. And ear drops are like fucking terrible. Like getting her to like be still long enough to put the drops in her ears, and then she's trying to claw the drops out with her fingers. It's heartbreaking. You have that to look forward to, Kimaiya.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a good time. It's not a good time. If you ever want to feel like you are like hurting your child, even though you're doing what's best for them, like, yeah, that one. But on lighter news, I watched Catwoman Hunted. By the time this episode drops, this will be on video on demand. And like the animation style is anime inspired, but it's like 90s anime. So like think Lupin the Third or Cowboy Bebop. And it's just a fun adventure. Like Catwoman, she steals an item from the wrong people. And like they're like, okay, so not only do we want our shit back, we're gonna fucking kill Catwoman. So it's a fun adventure, a fun romp, but like when it gets violent, that shit gets violent. And you're like, oh, I thought this was just a fun Catwoman adventure. Y'all murdering people? Like, what the fuck is happening here? But I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. What is not fun, but is an incredibly good show is Yellowjackets on Showtime. Has anybody seen this?
I don't know anything that airs on Showtime.
That's fair. That's fair. So Showtime's got two things. One, Dexter. They had that Dexter revival a couple of weeks ago, and then like what's being in a lot of buzz is Yellowjackets. It's got Christina Ricci and Juliette Lewis. Those are like the two biggest names on the show. And the show is set during two timelines. So the first timeline is in 1996. A girls soccer team from New Jersey. They're on their way to the national championships for soccer. And their plane crashes like in the woods somewhere. And you get like it takes place that during that time period and now where you're following some of the survivors. And back when they were stranded in the forest, it gets real bad. Like Lord of the Flies bad. Like they did stuff that's worse than cannibalism bad. And I'll say this. So the very first episode opens with, you don't know who it is because like it's winter time and they're wearing like coverings, but they're hunting one of their own to eat them. But also there's like they have like some sort of god that they started praying to out there. Like it's some fucked up shit. Like this is a show that's like, if you don't like gore, don't watch the show. Cause like it's pretty gory. But the present day stuff is really interesting. Like somebody is blackmailing them, saying that they know about some of the stuff that they did, and so they're trying to figure out like, is it one of us who talked, like that kind of stuff. And I haven't seen a lot of stuff with adult Christina Ricci in it, but like she is having the most fun I have ever seen her have as her role. And I'm not saying she needs to be nominated for an award for the show. She needs to win an award for this show. Like that is how good she is. If you can stand some gore, I highly recommend Yellowjackets.
All right, I'll check it out.
But yeah, that's all my shit. So since this is Valentine's, I just want to ask, did anybody have any favorite rom-coms or any movies set around Valentine's Day or anything that's just kind of memorable that you want to kind of talk about to go with the theme of the episode?
I remember in Valentine's Day of 2016, the love of my life, we went out on a date And I was about to make some bullshit up. Nah, that's nothing happened. No, rom-com. So I don't know if it's considered a rom-com, but I loved it, and that is Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
It's a classic.
Yes. Yes, just everything about that movie is great. From I forget his name.
Jason Segel.
Yeah. His opera he's writing to
Russell Brand.
No, the waiter. He's in This Is Up.
This is Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill, there we go. Jonah Hill being the waiter, talking to Russell Brand. Everything about it is great, funny, and it's a happy ending at the end. So I guess it's considered a rom-com.
Did you see the sequel prequel, Get 'Em to the Greek?
Yes, with Diddy. Oh, I love
Yes.
that movie too.
Yeah. So for the first time ever, yesterday I saw Hitch with Will Smith and Kevin James. And one, Kevin James has been old his entire career. Like that man looked like he was 50 back then. And this movie came out like 15 years ago. And he looks old now. Like, what was he ever young?
No, he always looks the same.
Right. Anybody seen Hitch?
Yeah.
I've seen Hitch. Yeah.
It's hard for me to watch a lot of movies without thinking with my 2022 brain. And we couldn't make that movie now. A movie where a man's job is to help other men persuade women into dating them.
So the creator of Tinder?
What?
So the creator of Tinder?
No, I mean, it
Technically, that is a man who turned into a matchmaker, but behind the scenes.
That's fair. That is fair. That is fair. Would we make a movie about that person's story, though?
Somebody would be interested.
There is a movie about Tinder.
Swindler?
I haven't watched it yet. I just saw that and I was like, it's like, yeah, some guy conned some women into giving up money. And I was like, this happens every day, B. I was like, this isn't, I was like, I don't know why this movie will be different than like that happens every day in life and vice versa for women swindling men for money. So I'm just like, I don't know why this story needed a movie.
I mean, it's a documentary though.
I'll read the highlights on social media.
You can play a City Girl album. That'll give you the same gist.
Right.
Well, I was thinking about rom-coms, and this doesn't go with what you're saying. Well, kind of with what you're saying. I was born in the 80s, so I grew up on that.
We were all, three of us were born in the 80s.
You got a baby on here.
We do.
Oh.
We do.
Well, that's okay. I'm about to turn 40, so everyone feels young. But I grew up on that diet of very unhealthy, sort of like Disney movies and those John Hughes movies, which I think just kind of.
Oh, if we want to talk about problematic lens.
Right. Like these are movies that really spoiled relationships for an entire generation of women. Like we cannot have healthy relationships because of John Hughes. But you couldn't make those movies today. The jokes, the setups, the damsel in distress, I think has become very outdated now. I don't think you see that so much anymore. But gosh, yeah, like movies have changed. What we allow has changed. And there's a scene in, what is it? I think it's 16 Candles where, I mean, they intoxicate this woman and kind of pass her around a party, and it's funny, like, right? Like we're supposed to like root for Anthony Michael Hall's character here, and it's like, but that girl's drunk. Yeah,
it was a different time.
It was. Or you got The Breakfast Club, same story, where some of these men are sexually harassing these women, and then they end up with them at the end. Like that's true love, right? Like if this boy picks on you enough, it just means you should be together.
Also, yes, no means yes.
But then, I mean, the 80s, they had that going. Then the 90s, I think we kind of transitioned to especially in the 2000s, like the really hot girl and no guy is good enough. So like the nerd is going to be the one that wins her. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because
we've had some.
he's the only one that cares, even though he's a fucking creep too.
Right. Like he's a creep. He's the nice guy, but he's going to get this like
he finished last.
Yeah. No one like hones in on the fact that the nerd that always finishes last is like the stalker.
Yeah.
Like he's last for a reason. Like it's not because women are shallow and we just can't see his worth. Like, no, we see it. We don't want it. Like, but apparently that makes women evil in these movies. And they're like the shrews those are the mean girls who the damsel has to get away from and find her true love with the guy who really shouldn't be there at all. But I don't like rom-coms, in case you couldn't figure that out.
I didn't really think about that until you literally said the words. Huh.
But if I had to pick one I liked, I really enjoy Something About Mary. Bunch of creepy stalker dudes. Just
I was just about to ask you, when was the last time you saw that?
Oh, none of them deserve her, but that movie's hilarious. I mean, it is so funny.
When was the last time you saw that movie?
Oh gosh, probably 5 or 6 years ago.
I saw it last year, and for the first time, and I was like, "My God, do you not remember what the main thrust of that movie was about? Them, all those jokes about mentally handicapped people."
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about the brother. Yeah. But so much of it, they wouldn't do that today. It's so like the rest stop scene, and oh golly, that movie's inappropriate. Everything's inappropriate.
Like movies were not the jokes, like the lines of jokes just wasn't. It's not good. It's not good.
It's like it's always weird when you go back and watch a movie looking in 2022 glasses, and you're like, "Yikes, damn!"
Yep.
We was walling back then. We accepted this kind of things and we thought this was entertaining. It's like, whoa, we was crazy. Like I remember like The Office, for example. I didn't start watching Office till about 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years maybe. And I started watching from the very beginning, and I'm watching these first early seasons. And I was like, Michael Scott is whatever you consider bad. He covers it. Racist, sexist, everything in the book, he covers it. So I'm just like, so when people ask me how was The Office, I'm like, nah, you can skip like the first 3 seasons of it. And then come in there. I was like, I don't know what year this was, but I'm like, all right, I guess they got their shit together then. And then I was like, okay, because it's hard for me to enjoy those early jokes when they're saying stuff like this. And I'm just like, all right, I can't do it.
Right.
I mean, I really don't like rom-coms. I don't really remember a whole lot of them. I've seen a lot of them, I'm pretty sure. But like the only one that really sticks out to me is The Proposal. And that's just because of the dancing in the woods with the chanting. And then they start singing from the window to the wall around the fire.
It's a really fun movie. I like that movie.
Yeah. The dog gets snatched up by a hawk. I did not know those are real scenarios. Those are real scenarios.
Oh yeah, hawks and dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. So my friend has a teacup Yorkie, and they live in Missouri, but there's a lot of hawks where they live. So they actually have owls on their fence to keep the birds from eating their dog.
Yeah.
So I have a big dog, so I'm fine. But that was a real situation.
I don't know. Like I like rom-coms, but I always wish that they would do something to like buck the formula. Like we always have to have like, all these rom-coms are based off of some sort of lie, right? And I always wish that we wouldn't have to do the stupid part where like the other party finds out, you lied to me. And then they storm off, and then like we have to do this grand gesture to get them to like have the conversation that you should have had from the beginning. Like, can we have a rom-com that doesn't do that?
Hallmark is built on that though, for every holiday.
I mean, we're not going to talk about my beloved Christmas movies. All right, we're not going to talk about that. That's not the conversation right now, Kimaiya. We're in February, not December.
They do it for every holiday except Thanksgiving. They said forget Thanksgiving. It doesn't exist.
Nah. But ooh, those rom-coms set around Easter. Let's go.
Okay, I just typed in top rom-coms. 51st Dates. There's no lying in 51st Dates.
I mean, isn't the whole conceit her memory loss, right?
Yeah.
So I've never seen that, so I can't really.
I hate the premise of that movie. It's horrible. The end is horrible.
Did they get together?
Why is the ending horrible?
Because they have a child. How
Wait,
irresponsible is that to
They
have a
had
child when you can't?
So she just kept waking up every day forgetting that she was pregnant. Like what?
Right. Like, first off, how does that work? I didn't think about that. But like, imagine raising a child in an environment where its mother doesn't remember it from day to day. Like, that's deeply troubling to me. Like,
well, because
I have ethical issues.
They record videos for her, so when she wakes up, she sees the videos, and then she has a general idea of, oh, I got married. This is who I'm married to, and I have this kid.
Isn't that
that's Memento?
I was gonna say that, and also, didn't they do that shit in Total Recall? Like when Arnold woke up and he left himself a fucking video. Like, all right, man, you're an agent. They coming for that ass. Get out of here.
To Mars.
Like, what the fuck?
I don't know much about 51st Dates except that when I found out they have a child, I'm like, that's horrible. That's not romantic.
I always go back to my favorite line in 51st Dates is when she wakes up and then her father tells her who he's married to, and she looks at him and he's like, sorry, I'm not better looking.
I'll need to watch that one day. Or will I? Sounds like I shouldn't, according to Sativa.
You can't take my judgment on romantic movies. You can't. I'm very cynical. I can't.
You dropping that ending, I was like, oh, that sounds problematic.
I have issues with it.
All right. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
All right. This week we discussed Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
1, 2, 3, 4. This is Scott Pilgrim's precious little life.
Scott, if your life had a face, I would punch it.
Yeah. Wait, what?
He's a rocker.
Oh my God!
A slacker and a lover.
Is Scott here?
You know what? He just left.
Now, one mystery girl.
You know this one girl with hair like this?
Yes, that's Ramona Flowers. Somebody said she was going to be here tonight, actually.
Will make him.
So this is a date, eh?
Did I say date?
Slip the tongue.
Tongue.
A fighter.
Mr. Pilgrim! I'm Ramona's first evil ex-boyfriend.
Wait! We're fighting over Ramona?
Didn't you get my email explaining the situation?
I skimmed it. What was all that about?
If we're gonna date, you may have to defeat my 7 evil exes.
If she's the girl of your dreams, then you have to let her know. Step up your game, Scott. Break out the L word.
Lesbian?
The other L word.
Lesbians? We all have baggage. Well, my baggage doesn't try and kill me every 5 minutes.
The story follows Scott, a 22-year-old in a band who is dating a 17-year-old. Eventually, he meets Ramona, and they hit things off to the point that in order to date her, he has to defeat her 7 evil exes. Kimaiya, what did you think of Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Well,
let's back up 1 second. Has everybody seen this movie before?
Yes.
I hadn't until now.
Okay, all right, good. I'm glad we started with you then.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. Because so we're gonna start with a child to this person that probably weighs 10 pounds soaking wet with clothes on, beating up everybody in these streets, just giving out hands and winning, getting Mario coins.
Yeah.
For a girl who changes her hair every week and a half.
Yeah.
Why? How did we get here? Who put that in paper and was like, yeah, let's go with this, and then make it a movie?
I mean, it was a comic book at first, a very successful comic book.
I know. I knew that much. Someone was like, yeah, this cool. He gonna fight a bunch of people He gonna be creepy. He gonna date kids, and then he can fight anybody. It's great, and he can trick a vegan into not being vegan. All right, we're good. I really just don't know why. Like,
I need you to see less movies, Kimaiya, and then come on here and just give your instant reactions to them. Sativa, what did you think of this movie?
Well, I had seen it before. I think it was probably opening night or pretty close to it at the movie theater. The rewatch was different than the first time I saw it because I'm a lot older now and life under my belt. Yeah, him dating a 17-year-old, that's not cool. And it really speaks to just the character of Scott. I think Scott's kind of selfish in a lot of ways.
Scott is what we call a fuckboy.
Yeah, he's just ugh. But we'll get to the good parts. So I love Edgar Wright. We discussed that already. It's such a fun movie to watch because you're like watching. It's like a comic book. Like you're watching a comic, and he really meshes those elements together really well. I really like that. I like how each X kind of had its own story, and some of them are really funny. Like I really like the girl. Like I can't think of her name, but the one that would pop up and down with the smoke clouds and.
Yeah, she's like the ninjas and Ninja Gaiden.
Like she was just fun. Like she was a really fun character, and I felt bad for her because, that's just a sexy phase, right? Like Ramona tosses it off. Scott's like, "Oh, you got a sexy phase? What?" And she's like, well, "No, this was real for me." So you feel bad for her that like clearly whatever happened between her and Ramona was like legitimate to her. Ramona is just
her name's Roxy.
Trash. Yeah, with a little eye paint. Yeah, I like the movie. What's his name? Wallace?
Oh, yeah. Kieran Culkin.
Yes. I love that character. When I saw him in the movie theater, I thought he was the highlight of the movie. I felt the same way when I rewatched it. Like his timing is wonderful. He's hilarious, but he's like subtle about it.
Do you watch Succession?
I've been meaning to.
Like he is that amplified. Like
I might have to watch that because I love the character.
He's
so grounded though too. Like
he is one of the best things on Succession.
Because I really loved his character. I just thought he was so good, and he's grounded, and he's like sympathetic to Scott, but he also like calls him out on his shit like routinely.
Right.
And like when Scott's all, I lost the girl. He's like, well, maybe the other guy was just better than you. Because let's be real, like Kimaiya said, like, is Scott really the best choice here? Like, does he deserve the girl?
No.
And I know that I kind of get why they're fighting over Ramona. Like, I like Ramona. If I liked girls, I think I would fight for Ramona. I get it. That actress is beautiful. Like, I can understand why people are like beating each other up over her.
I mean, if we want to sidestep 1 second, Ewan McGregor, young Obi-Wan Kenobi, he threw his whole marriage away for her.
Yeah, he did. And that is really gross. Like, that's gross. He's got kids who are like
her
woman's age, probably.
No, he does.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's gross.
But... Oh, the look on Kimaiya's face. If you guys could see it, audience.
But I mean, it's a fun movie. I think the characters are all really, their stories are well laid out. I had to remind myself that was Brie Larson because she doesn't look like Brie Larson.
There's so many people in this movie.
Yeah, she plays that sort of sexy, sultry kitten really well, which I don't think I've seen her do before. At least not before this. Like I've seen her more serious films, and she sings, which that's really cool. That's her singing.
Also, 1 second, Ewan McGregor is 50, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead is 37.
Yeah, that's
he does not need to drive that.
So he doesn't have kids her age, but he has kids very close to her age.
See, that's not cool.
I mean, Steven Tyler's girlfriend is 2 years older than me, and he's got one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. He's like 70 something. So
that's so gross. They're just waiting for that payout. Like that can't be true love, can it? Like that's just
Sugar Baby 2.0.
Matt, what did you think of this movie?
I liked it, but Scott is trash. Ramona's trash. I was rooting for Knives.
Why do you say Ramona's trash?
how did she break up with every one of her exes? It's just when she got uncomfortable that she broke up with all those exes. So she's a I shouldn't let me take that back. She's not a bad person in the sense of as soon as something is an inconvenience for her, she dumps them and then she leaves.
Well, she runs away from her problems instead of facing them.
Right. But I was rooting for Knives. I like Knives.
Yeah. I was surprised how much I liked her. Like, yeah. I follow her on Instagram now because I'm like, I like you.
Yeah. But one thing I love about the movie is there's a lot of stuff that happens in the background that you need to pay, that like little nuanced stuff that happens in the background that it's easy for you to miss. So you have to pay attention, and it just little jokes and everything else like that happens in the background. I love that stuff. I love all the little snikey jokes, like even when Knives come over and Scott jumps out the window and he's like, oh, he just left. And then he reaches his hand back in and grabs his jacket.
Yeah.
I like the little high five that the vegan police do after they
sap his powers.
They kind of do that little high five jump.
But yeah, first time I watched it, I liked Knives, and I wish that she would have got somebody at the end. And then even watching it like years later.
Maybe young Neil, maybe.
Yeah. Or no, remember, he's just Neil now. Yeah, so overall, I enjoyed it for what it's worth. Because I guess normally I'd be on that Kimaiya stuff when I'm like, the stuff doesn't make sense. But I've already seen this before, and I guess when I watched it before, I took it as it doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to make sense like that.
It's grandfathered in.
Right. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's normal for him to not know how to do fighting stuff, and all of a sudden he starts doing it. Oh, now I'm thinking about it. I loved every time they talked about his hair being shaggy, the next scene he has his hat on.
Right. So I own all of the Scott Pilgrim books, and I was reading it.
All right, stop real quick. So in these books, is it like a continuous story, or is it like the movie is what? Would you consider that one book or a collection of books?
So the movie is all 6 books.
Okay, that's okay.
So yeah, so each book is a battle with an X.
Okay.
I thought about, so when I first started the movie, like before I started watching the movie, I was like, I'm gonna reread these books before we record the episode. And then I watched the movie and I was like, oh fuck, oh shit, this is not a good amount of this is not okay. Because like, yes, this motherfucker is dating a child, and like I understand for like it was to illustrate how terrible these people are. But when they was hitting women, I was like, what the fuck are we watching here? Like when they was at the after the show, and Brandon Roth like hit Knives so hard he knocked the highlights out of her hair. I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like young Neil and Scott stood up. I stood up too. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, guys?
That's how I was. I was like, why you don't hit little ass Knives?
Right.
And then I thought that was gonna be like the aggression that he needed or something like that. No, it was kind of like it was just a small. It didn't do nothing to the plot at all.
Exactly. Like I thought that's when the fight was about to pop off, but they had a whole conversation after that. I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
But so I loved the comics when they came out. Like I was reading them, I was buying them as they came out. And I remember like the final book came out like the week before the movie came out. And I bought the video game and I beat it, and I saw the movie open at night with my friends. And I was like, this is like fucking great. Like I own the movie on Blu-ray, but I hadn't seen it since like I bought it on Blu-ray. So like seeing it this time, I was not okay with that 17-year-old stuff. I was not okay with like the hitting women. Like overall as a whole, I didn't like Scott.
No.
And
is flawed.
Yes, he is. And yeah, like, so it's like, should I be rooting for this character? This asshole that is dating a child, and then it's not being mature enough. Like, you're dating a child, and then the way he transitions from her to Ramona is like not okay. And you invited both of them to that battle of the bands, not thinking that they wouldn't talk.
And speaking of, I'm just thinking about it in my head. He was like, when they were both there, and he was like in his mind. Oh no, when Knives starts dating young Neil, and in his mind he was like, I need to go pee, or I should talk to her, and he was like, I need to go pee on her. But everything you're saying is true, but it's like little stuff like that. I could go back and it's funny to me. Just like Sativa said, like his roommate, hilarious throughout the whole thing. It's so like great. That is the glue through this whole movie.
I agree, that's funny, but also it's like we can't make most of those gay jokes nowadays. But no, like overall, I did enjoy it. Like, it's so funny just being reminded of like all the people that are in this movie before they became like big. Like, this came out right before Captain America, right. The first Avenger. Brie Larson wasn't anywhere near Brie Larson at the time. You got fucking Brandon Routh, who was Superman, but that didn't really go anywhere. Like, there's just so many faces in this movie.
It's funny, when I thought about that, I was like, he beat up Superman and Captain America.
Right.
He did.
But yeah, it's a good movie. Like, I would recommend it, but you just gotta disconnect that 2022 brain a little bit when you're watching it.
Treat it like it's 1998. And then you should be good with it. You might even cheer on some things.
Yeah. So what do you all think the Rotten Tomatoes score of this movie was?
Scott, is one of those cult classic things to where I think the audience score will be boosted up by now.
Yeah, the fanboys are gonna go in there and defend its honor. Like,
yeah.
I feel like Scott Pilgrim is kind of like overalls. Like, they should have just left from where he was at. They didn't have to bring
overalls are good.
They should have left from where they were at.
You trying to bring that shit?
A pair of overalls.
You trying to bring that shit back, Matt?
Overalls are comfortable. You just throw a shirt on and now you good to go.
They're comfortable until you have to urgently pee.
Well, that is true, but you can do some plumbing in them. You can do some farming in them.
You can go to the club in them.
You don't need to go that far. I mean, depending on what kind of club it is, I guess.
So I'll say this: the tomato meter and the audience score are 2 points apart.
78
to a 68.
I was gonna say 72.
The tomato meter score is 82%, and the audience score is 84%. So the tomato meter is out of 271 reviews, and the audience rating is out of over 100,000 audience ratings.
Well, I figured the audience score would be because people love this movie.
Yeah, they do. It's a whole identity, and also like if I can attest to Sativa. I'm not sure if you've ever been to any Comic Cons, Kimaiya, but like Ramona is an extremely popular Comic Con cosplay.
I can't go to Comic Cons. They'll know I'm an outsider.
She's not one of us.
It's not just about comics, it's fandom.
I know it's. I was told not to go by someone who frequents Comic Con.
What?
Yeah, I was told not to go.
Why?
So I don't know if there's like a standard of appearance. I don't know why they told me not to go, or he told me not to go.
You can wear whatever you want to wear.
Yeah, I feel like they misinformed you. I go to conventions and I just wear like a t-shirt and jeans. I don't dress up or anything.
Yeah.
No, they're fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are. I also don't like large groups of people. So.
I mean, there's that. There's that. So that may have been why they said don't go.
I don't know if you remember the Halloween that I wore the Catwoman costume.
I remember that.
That's when I was told not to go.
Oh,
okay. Which Catwoman were you?
Which one? For that time, I think I was the newest one. If I remember,
she was a sexy Catwoman
from Batman, Dark Knight Rises.
So, like the Anne Hathaway one.
They don't have actors and actresses do not have names in my world. They are not real people. They are fictitious. They are the last character I know them as.
That's fair. All right. So let's do trivia. In the film, Scott Pilgrim, Michael Cera, is 22 years old. His sister, Stacy Pilgrim, and Kendrick is 18. And Knives Chow, Ellen Wong, is 17. In real life, which actor is the youngest?
Is it the one that played the sister?
Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
So your guess is Anna Kendrick as the youngest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably say Anna Kendrick as well. I don't know why.
I remember you got
that would fit.
You got 3 options, and it's 3 of you, so you all don't have to say the same thing.
I'm going with Knives.
Okay, that's a good guess. You're all wrong, but that's a good guess. So Ellen Wong, Knives, is the oldest. She was born in January of 1985. Anna Kendrick was born in August of 1985, and Michael Cera was born in 1988.
He is aging like milk.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Anna Kendrick, I'm like, God damn, like I'm surprised that she's not younger.
I just knew Knives was going to be older because she looked the youngest.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot to add in about what's the girl from Parks and Rec?
At Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot she was in there, and I watched it, and I liked her in this too. I forgot that. I just want to add that in there.
She's about to do a movie with our girl, Community, Annie.
Yeah.
I
can't think of her real name.
Yeah.
It's Brie something, isn't it?
Allison
Brie. Yeah.
They're about to do a movie together.
All right.
But if you guys haven't seen it, I highly recommend. It's Aubrey Plaza and Elizabeth Olsen. It's really good, and it's got Baby Ice Cube in it. The movie is called. Why is Aubrey Plaza in so much shit? It's called Ingrid Goes West. It's really good.
Comedy, I assume.
Ish. So basically, Aubrey Plaza is a stalker. She stalks Elizabeth Olsen's like social media to the point where she like tries to infiltrate her friend group. It's kind of funny, but as a whole, no. But it's really good. All right, so we're gonna do a trivia dump and then we're out of here. All right, so Edgar Wright has stated that the movie was done in the style of a musical, but instead of characters breaking into song and dance, they break into a fight. The battle between Scott Pilgrim and Matthew Patel is done in the style of a Bollywood fight scene. The 4 cast members that made up the band Sex Bomb spent several weeks learning how to play together as a band. Mark Webber, Allison Peel, and Johnny Simmons all had to learn their instruments from scratch, while Michael Cera had to dumb down his bass playing in order to not outshine his bandmates.
Speaking of Sex Bomb, what was the redhead's name?
Who?
The redhead, the drummer.
That's Allison Peel. Who does she play?
I was thinking of little jokes in my head to where he introduced her. He was like, "Hey, this is whatever her name is," and then right after that, Nas was like, "Hey, what's your name again?" So I felt that because it's hard for me to remember people's names, even if you just told me.
It's Kim.
Kim, yeah, he's like, "Hey, this is Kim," and she goes, "Oh, that's another thing." And she's like, "Can I take your jacket?" And he takes it and just drops it on the ground. Right. And then she's like, "Hey, what's your name again?" Yeah, I'm bad with remembering names.
Anna Kendrick, as the character Stacy Pilgrim, wears the actual name badge of the real life Stacy, on whom the comic creator based the character. In one of the DVD commentaries, Anna Kendrick specifically asked somebody to add that to the IMDb trivia. So that's funny. Beck wrote the music for Sex Bomb. The Canadian band Broken Social Scene wrote the 2 4-second songs We Hate You, Please Die, and I'm So Sad, So Very, Very Sad for Crash and the Boys. Metric, another Canadian band, wrote the song Black Sheep, which is performed by Scott's rival band, The Clash at Demon Head. And that is also actually Brie Larson singing that song. And last fun fact, the stunt doubles of Lucas Lee are the actual stunt doubles for Chris Evans.
He had a whole army of them. There were so many.
You know, they got treated right when they started getting those Marvel checks. All right. So I want to thank you ladies for coming on. Genuinely appreciate you coming on and, you know, indulging us in reminiscing about the old days and just playing along. This was a lot of fun. I had fun. It was really nice to reconnect with you too, and thank you so much.
I second that. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Do either you ladies have anything you want to plug? Social media, an Etsy, Letterboxd account?
I don't know what half those things are, but I was watching the news recently. This is like a public service announcement. It's not a plug. It's like a PSA here. There's like a critical shortage for blood donations. Yeah. So if that's something you can do, maybe consider it. Check with your employer to see if they will give you time off to donate blood. Some employers are doing it. Go donate blood. That's my PSA for today.
Okay. Kimaiya, you got an Etsy or something?
I don't sell things. I mean, I do, but I sell baked goods. I can't send that anywhere. So, but Chad, since your logo, I have more cookie recipes for you to try.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, hold up. Now I remember from that place we used to work at, didn't you used to be famous for banana pudding?
And now I make banana pudding cookies.
See?
We're gonna have to link up.
I don't think that'd be any good if I did.
Right.
Just freeze them. Put them on dry ice.
But anybody in St. Louis, check out that banana pudding.
I want to check these cookies out. We're gonna link up. Come on. I want to try those cookies. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate, like, and review our podcast on your platform of choice. If you have any feedback, please email us at weusedtotalkpod@gmail.com. Like our Facebook page. We used to talk about this at work. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok at We Used to Talk Pod. Come back next week when we review A Simple Favor.
And like always, I don't know if this was a good episode. I don't know if it was a bad episode. But whatever you think about it, talk about it at work. Thank you for listening.